Following World War II, the United Nations created the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization with the aim of fostering a genuine culture of peace and exchange. Within this framework, the anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss was commissioned to conduct research on the concept of race as part of a campaign against racism. Levi-Strauss produced Race and History, a study that explored whether any culture is inherently superior, if cultural diversity is indeed beneficial, and responded to Gobineau's claim that racial mixing leads to a loss of purity and unique characteristics. Levi-Strauss argued that cultures evolve through a mutual exchange and cumulative progress. He noted that some people find it easy to consider certain cultures superior to others, emphasizing that such judgments are often based on a superficial understanding of cultural development. On one hand, some histories can be seen as cumulative, where culture gather and optimize various forms of knowledge for practical benefit. For instance, after crossing the Bering Strait and arriving to the Americas, Native Americans were able over 20,000 to 25,000 years to domesticate plant species for food, poisons, and medicine. This cultural development was made possible by their ability to observe, acquire, and optimize knowledge from the environment. On the other hand, some cultures may appear stationary, seemingly not progressing in technological terms. Levi-Strauss criticized this binary and ethnocentric view, arguing that labeling a culture as stationary often reflects a tendency to prioritize traits valued by one's own culture rather than those important to the culture being observed. Since Western culture has largely oriented itself toward the development and valorization of mechanical and technological advancement, a Western may use this criterion as a basis for analysis and ultimately conclude that cultures without these emphases are somehow less valuable. Each time we are inclined to label a human culture as inert or stationary, we must ask ourselves whether this apparent immobility might result from our ignorance or its true, conscious or unconscious interest. Furthermore, we should consider whether having criteria different from our own, this culture may, in relation to us, be subjected to the same illusion. In his writing, Levi-Strauss highlights how Western culture has often been deemed universally superior. Many societies seem to aspire to a similar trajectory. This perception, however, can be traced less to actual Western superiority and more to imperialism and the colonial legacy of the West. During this era, Western powers imposed conditions worldwide that forced the adoption of many of their cultural traits, permanently disrupting native cultures. The poverty in these territories, often artificially created by the West, their fragmentation into artificial nation-states, and the creation of local rivalries served as a tool to weaken these societies and limit their ideological independence. Moreover, at key point in history, the growth of Western industrialization and economies relied heavily on the exploitation of enslaved and subjugated cultures. The new markets, economic opportunities, and production resources gained from this exploitation, including slavery, were among the driving force behind the rise of Western industries and science. Western civilization established its soldiers, trading posts, plantations, and missionaries around the world. It directly or indirectly intervened in the lives of indigenous populations, profoundly disrupting their traditional way of life, either by imposing its own or by creating conditions that led to the collapse of existing structures without replacing them with anything else. Subjugated or disorganized people were thus left with no choice but to accept the alternative offered to them, or, if unwilling to do so, to try to come close enough to this system to be able to resist them on the same terms. Judging one culture as superior to another without recognizing the interdependence of cultures overlooks a key truth. The knowledge we benefit today is the result of centuries of human development across diverse regions, where cultures interacted and enriched one another. Lévi-Strauss emphasizes that Western civilization has greatly benefited from a wide range of contribution, both foreign and native. For example, the Amazigh influenced architecture, cuisine, science and philosophy. The Turks contributed to art, architecture, science and medicine. The Greeks laid the foundation of Western philosophy, democracy and the art. The Romans spread system of laws, architecture, engineering and governance. The Scandinavian advanced seafaring technology, exploration and trade. The Persians made significant advancement in science, mathematics, medicine and astronomy. And the Arabs made lasting contributions to Western medicine, philosophy, astronomy and literature. Isolation from other cultures is in fact one of the worst things that could happen to a society, as it deprives them from a valuable external contribution. The Industrial Revolution is often cited as evidence of the supposed superiority of the West, as it occurred first and fastest in Western Europe, then spread to the United States, followed by Japan and the USSR. Many other regions of the world remained largely agrarian for extended periods, with some areas still closer to feudal systems than to industrialized ones today. However, if we look further back, the Neolithic Revolution, a far more impactful transformation than the Industrial Revolution, occurred simultaneously in multiple regions with little to no contact, beginning in the Near East, then China, and even South America. The fact that this agricultural and societal revolution emerged independently in diverse places suggests that industrialization could have naturally arisen in other territories as well and was not an exclusively Western phenomenon. All the human societies since the earliest times have acted in the same direction, and it is the very distant and archaic societies, which we readily compare to today's savageous people, that have made the most decisive progress in this field. Today, they still constitute the majority of what we call civilization. We are still dependent on the immense discoveries that marked what is rightfully called, without any exaggeration, the Neolithic Revolution. Agriculture, animal husbandry, pottery, weaving, in all these arts of civilization we have over the past 8 or 10,000 years only made refinements.